ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 12, Creation of the Kumaras and Others. Maitreya Uvacha इति ते वर्णितः क्षत्ता कालाख्या परमात्मनः महिमा वेदगर्भोऽथ यथा सृक्षीन् निबोध मे. Sri Maitreya said, O learned Vidura, so far I have explained to you the glories of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his feature of Kala. Now you can hear from me about the creation of Brahma, the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. ससर्जाग्रेऽन्दतामिश्रम् अततामिश्रमादिकृत् महामोहं च मोहं च तमश्चाज्ञानवृत्तयः. Brahma first created the nascent engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, anger after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception of forgetfulness of one's real identity. दृष्ट्वा पापीयसीं सृष्टिं नात्मनं बह्वमन्यत भगवद्ध्यानपूतेन मनस्यानां ततो सृजत्. Seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity and therefore he purified himself by meditation on the personality of Godhead. Then he began another term of creation. Sanakam cha sanandanam cha sanatanam athatma sanatkumaram cha munim Nishkriyan Urdhvareta Saha. In the beginning, Brahma created four great sages named Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara. All of them were unwilling to adopt materialistic activities because they were highly elevated due to their semens flowing upwards. तान् बभे तान् बभाष्ये स्वभुः पुत्रान् प्रजाः सृजत पुत्रकाः तन्नैषन्मोक्षधर्माणो वासुदेवपरायणाः. Brahma spoke to his sons after generating them. My dear sons, he said, now generate progeny. But due to their being attached to Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead, they aimed at liberation and therefore they expressed their unwillingness. सोऽवधात सुतैरेवं प्रत्याख्यात्मानुशासनैः क्रोधं दुर्विषं दुर्विषहं जातं नियन्तुम् उपचक्रमे. On the refusal of the sons to obey the orders of their father, there was much anger generated in the mind of Brahma, which he tried to control and not express. धिया निग्रहयमानोऽपि भ्रुवोर्मध्यात् प्रजापते सद्योजायत तन्मन्युः कुमारो नीललोहितः. Although he tried to curb his anger, it came out from between his eyebrows, and a child mixed blue and red was immediately generated. सवैरुरोध देवानां पूर्वजो भगवान् भवः नामानि कुरु मे धातः स्थानानि च जगद्गुरो. After his birth, he began to cry, O destiny maker, teacher of the universe, kindly designate my name and place. इति तस्य वचः पाद्मो भगवान् परिपालयन् अभ्याद्याद् भद्रया वाचा मारोदिस्तत् करोमि ते. The all powerful Brahma, who was born from the lotus flower, pacified the boy with gentle words, accepting his request, and said, "Do not cry. I shall certainly do as you desire." Yad arodhi Yad arodhihi surashreshta sodvega iva balakah tatas tvam abhidhasyanti namna rudra iti prajaha. Thereafter Brahma said, O chief of the demigods, you shall be called by the name Rudra by all people because you have so anxiously cried. हृदिन्द्रियाणि असुर्व्योम वायुरग्निर्जलं महि सूर्यश्चन्द्रस्तपश्चैव स्थानानि अग्रे कृतानि ते. My dear boy, I have already selected the following places for your residence: the heart, the senses, the air of life, the sky, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, the sun, the moon, and austerity. मनुर्मनुर्महिनसो महाञ्चिव ऋतध्वजः उग्ररेता भवः कालो वामदेवो दृढव्रतः. Lord Brahma said, My dear boy, Rudra, you have 11 other names: Manyu Manu, Mahinasa, Mahan, Shiva, Ritadvaja, Ugrareta, Bhava, Kala, Vamadeva, and Dritavrata. धीर धृति रसलोमा च नियुत सर्पिर इदा sorry धीर धृति रसो let me start धीर धृति रसलोम च नियुत सर्पिर इलाम्बिका इरावती स्वदा दीक्षा रुद्रान्यो रुद्रते स्त्रिया. O Rudra, you also have 11 wives called the Rudranis, and they are as follows: Dhi, Dhriti, Rasala, Uma, Niyut, Sarpi, Ila, Ambika, Iravati, Swadha, and Diksha. ग्राणैतानि नामानि स्थानानि च स योषणः ये विसृज प्रजा बह्वी प्रजानामसि यत्पतिः. My dear boy, you may now accept all the names and places designated for you and your different wives. And since you are now one of the masters of the living entities, you may increase the population on a large scale. इत्यादिष्ट स्वगुरुणा भगवान् नीललोहितः सत्त्वाकृति स्वभावेन ससर्जात्मा समाह प्रजाः. The most powerful Rudra, whose bodily color was blue mixed with red, created many offspring exactly resembling him in features, strength, and furious nature. रुद्राणां रुद्रसृष्टानां समन समन्द समन्ताद् गृहसात् जगम्. Let me repeat, sorry. रुद्राणां रुद्रसृष्टानां समन्ताद् गृहसातां जगत् निशम्यासङ्ख्यशो यूथान् प्रजापतिरसङ्कता. The sons and the grandsons generated by Rudra were unlimited in number, and when they assembled together, they attempted to devour the entire universe. When Brahma, the father of the living entities, saw this, he became afraid of the situation. Alam prajabhi srishtabhir idrishibhi surottamam maya sahas dahantibhir dishas chakshubhir ulbanaihi. Brahma told Rudra, O best among the demigods, there is no need for you to generate living entities for this nature. They have begun to devastate everything on all sides with the fiery flames from their eyes, and they have even attacked me. तपः आतिष्ठ भद्रं ते सर्वभूतसुखावहं तपसैव यथा पूर्वं सृष्टा विश्वम् idam bhavan. My dear son, you had better situate yourself in penance, which is auspicious for all living entities and which will bring all benediction upon you. By penance only shall you be able to create the universe as it was before. तपस्यैव परं ज्योतिर्भगवन्तम् अधोक्षजं सर्वभूतगुहावासम् अञ्जसा vindate puman. By penance only can one even approach the personality of Godhead, who is within the heart of every living entity and at the same time beyond the reach of all senses. मैत्रेय उवाच एवम् आत्मभुवादिष्टः परिक्रम्य गिरां पतिं बाढाम् इति अमुम् आमन्त्र्य विवेश तपसेवनम्. Sri Maitreya said, thus Rudra, having been ordered by Brahma, circumambulated his father, the master of the Vedas. Addressing him with words of assent, he entered the forest to perform austere penances. अताभिध्यायात अताभिध्यायतः सर्गं दशपुत्राः प्रजाज्ञिरि भगवच्छक्तियुक्तस्य लोकसन्तानहेतवः. Brahma, who was empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thought of generating living entities and begot 10 sons for the extension of the generations. मरीचिर् अत्रि अङ्गिरसौ पुलस्य पुलः कृतौ भृगुर्वसिष्ठदक्षश्च दशमस्तत्र नारदः. Marichi, Atri, Angira, Pulasya, Pulaha, Kruta, Bhrigu, Vasishta, Daksha, and the 10th son Narada were thus born. उत्सङ्गान् नारदो जङ्गे दक्षोऽङ्गुष्टान् स्वयंभुवः प्राणाद् वसिष्ठः सञ्जातो भृगुस्त्वच्चीकरात् कृतौ. Narada was born from the deliberation of Brahma, which is the best part of the body. Vasishta was born from his breathing, Daksha from a thumb, Bhrigu from his touch, and Krutu from his hand. पुलहो नाभितो जङ्गे पुलस्य कर्णयोर्ऋषिः अङ्गिरा अङ्गिरा मुखतो कृष्णत्रिर्मरीचिर्मनसोऽभवत्. Pulasya was generated from the ears, Angira from the mouth, Atri from the eyes, Mariji from the mind, and Pulaha from the navel of Brahma. धर्महस्तनाद दक्षिणातो दक्षिणतो यत्र नारायण स्वयं अधर्म पृष्ठतो यस्मान् मृत्युर्लोक भयंकरा. Religious one manifested from the breast of Brahma, wherein he is seated in the supreme personality of Godhead Narayana, and irreligion appeared from his back, where horrible death takes place for the living entity. हृदि काम भ्रुवः क्रोधो लोभश्चाधर दच्छदात् आस्याद्वाक् सिन्धवो मेढ्रान् निर् nirtihi payor aghashraya. Lust and desire became manifested from the heart of Brahma, anger from between his eyebrows, greed from between his lips, and the power of speaking from his mouth, the ocean from his penis, and low and abominable activities from his anus, the source of all sins. Okay. छायाया कर्दमोजङ्गे देवहूत्या पतिः प्रभुः मनसो देहतः चेदं यङ्गे विश्वकृतो जगत्. Sage Kardama, husband of the great Devahuti, was manifested from the shadow of Brahma. Thus, all became manifested from either the body or the mind of Brahma. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. We'll take the second part from here tomorrow. Let's go through the purports quickly. Okay, so we are in, sorry for the book and my notes. My notes might take a little longer. That's why I want to go through the Bhagavad Subodhini in short. Everyone with me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yeah. So Maitreya is saying that he is going to explain about the Visarga, the creation that happens through Brahma or by Brahma. And it is said that unless a living entity forgets his real, the purport is very nice, the first verse is saying he'll explain, and the second is Brahma first created five things. What are these? Five features of ignorance. Where? Because it's a material world. In the material world, these five things are dominated or dominating upon Tatastha Shakti. Yeah, what is these five things? Are Tamah, Moham, Mahamoham, Tamishram, Andatamishram. These are the five things. Tama means darkness in self knowledge or self deception. Then Moham is illusory bodily conception. Mahamoha means false proprietorship of enjoyable objects, like false proprietorship or possessiveness. Tamishram means anger upon frustration. When one's enjoyment is obstructed, then he undergoes tamishram. And andatamishram is unconscious state brought about by anger, which is a kind of sense of death. So these are the five things that are generated. First, Brahma created this. Why? Prabhupada writes in the purport, it's very nice that before the factual creation of living entities in different varieties of species, the conditions under which a living entity in the material world has to live were created by Brahma. These are the five things which are there. Sometimes people may ask, why do we have forgetfulness? Or it is Prabhupada writes that therefore the first condition of material existence is what is forgetfulness of one's real identity. That is the first condition. Otherwise, there is no need to go, there is no need to come to this material world. And because we are coming, that forgetfulness is very important. Why? Because, and by forgetting one's real identity, one is sure to be afraid of death. Although a pure living soul is deathless and birthless, but this sense of feeling death is the cause of effects of material energy. And by forget, and this false identification with material nature is the cause of false ownership of things, which are offered by the arrangement of superior control. So, in this way, uh, in the purport, Prabhupada further writes that it is evident from this verse that Brahma himself is a creation of the Supreme Lord, and the five kinds of nescience which condition the living entity in material world are creations of Brahma. Uh, it is simply ludicrous to think the living entity to be equal to the Lord. Brahma and the Lord are not equal. Even Patanjali also accepts that there are five kinds of nescience, as mentioned above. And Drishtva Papi Yasim Srishtim, after creating such, it says, seeing such a misleading creation as a sinful task. Sometimes what happens is, though we don't like some things, we may have to do it. And when we do it, then we think, oh, at least let me do something which is really right, which is really good, and etc. After that, Brahma did not feel much pleasure in his activity, and therefore he purified himself by meditation on the Lord. This is very important. When we commit something, when we do something, when we think something, yeah, which is not right, which is not encouraging, which is not authorized, then what we have to do is we have to, again, just like Brahma purified himself by meditation. Purport Prabhupada writes, although he created different influences of nature, of nescience, Lord Brahma was not satisfied in performing such a thankless task, but he had to do it because most of the conditioned souls wanted to be so. This purport is nice. If you like, you can very nice explanation about the question may be raised why the Lord, who is all merciful, helps one to remember and another to forget. Huh? Why is it that some can remember and why some people forget? This question. Actually, his mercy is not exhibited in partiality towards one and enmity towards another. His mercy is not like, okay, favorable or unfavorable. The living entity, as part and parcel of the Lord, is partially independent because he partially possesses all qualities of the Lord. which means independence, which is also the quality of the Lord. As we are part and parcel of the Lord, we also have a minute quality of independence. Anyone who has some independence may sometimes misuse it due to ignorance. When the living entity prefers to misuse his independence and glide down towards nescience, so a living entity wants to enjoy, yeah, just like one may say practice bhakti, bhakti, and he says, no, I want bhukti, bhukti. So then what happens is the next step. When the living entity prefers to misuse his independence and glide down towards nescience, the all merciful Lord, first of all, tries to protect him from the trap. But when the living entity persists in gliding down to hell, the Lord helps him to forget his real position. The Lord helps the falling living entity glide down to the lowest point. Why? Uh, just to give him the chance to see if he is happy by misusing his independence. So this is a very nice question. Yeah? Sometimes we get philosophical and who am I? Why am I here? Yeah? This is one such of the important questions in our life. Hmm? And then it goes further. Then Brahma created the four Kumaras who were free from fruitive activities, Nish, Nishkriyam. And then the four aspects. What are the four aspects here are mentioned are he therefore created four principles of knowledge, which is Sankhya, Yoga, Vairagya, and Tapas. Uh, so, in the purport, we see Sankhya means the philosophy, empirical philosophy of analytical study of the material creation. So, this is one principle. Yeah, it is just like we are in the material world. We need to understand what is this material world made of. How is sand or water? All these things are made of. This empirical study is what is called Sankhya. And then yoga, which means the mysticism for liberation of pure soul from the material bondage. So, while we know this nature of this world, we should also need to know what is the purpose, and that is yoga. And then yoga is liberating from the bondage. And then comes the vairagya, means acceptance of complete detachment from the material enjoyment in life to elevate oneself to the highest spiritual knowledge, understanding. And finally tapasya, which is it's various kinds of voluntary austerities performed for spiritual perfection. So Brahma created four uh, sages to take care of these four principles of the material nature. So who are they? They are Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumar to entrust them with these four principles of spiritual advancement. And then, because they were given, what did they do? They have inaugurated their own spiritual party or sampradaya, which is called Kumara Sampradaya, or later on as known as Nimbarka Sampradaya for advancement of bhakti. All of these great sages became great devotees, for without devotional service to the Lord, one cannot achieve success in any of the spiritual values. So then Brahma asked Kumaras to create progeny. Of course, Brahma has said, "Oh, my dear sons, now generate progeny." But the four Kumaras, they said, they declined. Again, there is nice philosophical understanding. How could the son not accept, not obey the vow of his father? We may see what happened to Lord Ramachandra when he says, "I'll not step away. What is step away from the vow that I have given to my father." But here we are seeing that Kumaras, they are transgressing the instructions of his father, how to understand this. It is said, but due to their being attached to Vasudeva, this is what is mentioned very clearly. Vasudeva Parayana. Tan Naichan Moksha Dharmano Vasudeva Parayana. It says they didn't had any desire, and they pledged to the principle of liberation. And then the four Kumaras declined to become family men, even on the request of their great father Brahma. And those, Prabhupada, those who are serious about gaining release from the material bondage should not be entangled in the false relationship of family bondage. It is not that family bondage is abominable. Family bondage is an artificial uh, setup so that one can come together and work for the here we see Daksha, we see so many who have expanded, created, all these things, but should be based on dharma. Those who are serious about only full focus on liberation or gaining release from the middle bondage should not get into this business. People may ask how Kumaras could refuse the order of Brahma, who was their father and above all the creator of the universe. The reply is that one who is Vasudeva Parayana or seriously engaged in devotional service need not care for any other obligation. It is enjoined in Bhagavatam, Devarshir Bhutapta, Nunam Pitranam, Nakinkaro Nayam Rini Cha Rajan, Sarvatmana Yah Sharanam Saranyam, Gato Mukundam Parihritya Kartam. It says, anyone who has completely given up all worldly relationships and has taken absolute shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, who gives us salvation, and who alone is fit to be taken shelter of, is no longer a debtor or servant of anyone, including demigods, forefathers, sages, other living entities, relatives, and members of human society. Thus, there was nothing wrong in the acts of Kumaras when they refused their father's request that they become family men. So, when this happened, Brahma became very angry. There was much anger generated in the mind. Prabhupada writes, I think in the next purport, Brahma is the director in charge of the mode of passion of material nature. Therefore, it was natural for him to become angry on the refusal of his sons to obey his order. This means Brahma, the Lord of the mode of passion. Passion is needed for creation, and being he himself is tasked to create. And it's natural for him to become upset when things don't happen as he expect. Although the Kumaras were right in such an act of refusal, Brahma, being absorbed in the mode of passion, could not check his passionate anger. He did not express it, however, because he knew that his sons were far enlightened in spiritual advancement and thus he should not express his anger before them. He tried. But what happened? Uh, although he tried to curb his anger with intelligence, but it came out from between his eyebrows. A child mixed blue and red was immediately generated. In the purport, Prabhupada writes, the face of anger is the same whether exhibited due to ignorance or due to knowledge. Huh? If one, which means face, we can sense through the face, but of course we don't know it is because of ignorance or because of knowledge. Just like sometimes one may say, "Hey, why is Prabhupada calling someone rascal?" Huh? Here we see because he is knowledgeable that other person is unnecessarily wasting his life. That's why he is becoming angry or he chastises. A guru is chastising his disciples. Why? Because he is saying, "Hey, what you're doing is wrong." Of course, there is no harm for the guru that if the disciple doesn't um, engage in the service in his service, but rather it is the duty of the guru so that the disciple are engaged in right service. And that's why the right, it is said that the husband can chastise wife. Of course husband should be qualified. A guru can chastise his disciple. Of course guru should be qualified. So when we talk, and king can chastise his fellow men, being the representative of the lord. So in that way, one um, when one engages, he can become anger. But if a person is in the mode of passion, this is because of that due to ignorance, that anger is also can be seen on the face. Although Brahma tried to curb his anger, he could not do so, even though he is the supreme being. Such anger in its true color came from between the eyebrows of Brahma as Rudra in a mixed color of blue and red. Blue means ignorance, red means passion, because anger is the product of passion and ignorance. How much time I have? Yeah. So, Anyway, there it goes further. And then, as soon as this form that came, the child that after his birth, he began to cry, "Oh, Lord, tell me, teacher of the universe, kindly designate my name and place." The boy started crying and asking, "Where should I reside?" And the residences that are given to Rudra, residences of 11th purport is I mean, not very long, is long, which helps understanding what is Rudra principles. So, residence of Rudra principles or anger is heart. uh, Heart starts burning, right? We sometimes when become angry, we see the false egocentric attitude of thinking oneself to be all in all, that is in the heart. Hmm? Senses also is a place where the Rudra principle is there. What is that? The anger in the heart is manifested through the senses, which means when we become angry, sometimes we start hitting our fist like this, or to the wall, or to the person. uh, and air of life, angry men breathe very rapidly. And then sky, the place for the Rudra is also sky, which is dense cloud roar in anger. Air, wind blows very fiercely. Water is like flood. When we in the water we see sometimes flood. That is the principle, Rudra principle. Sea water infuriated by wind appears gloomy. Anyway, so these are few and understanding of what is that. And then he said further, you have 11 names. Manyu Manu, Mahinasa, Mahan, Shiva, Ritadvaja, Ugrareta, Bhava, Kala, Vamadeva, Dritavrata. So, and also accordingly, you have 11 wives, and then you take the respective places, and then you rule and engage in creation. Accept these places and wives and create progeny on a large scale. And Rudra accepted and created progeny, and that progeny was this unlimited progeny created by Rudra attempted to devour the entire universe, including Brahma. Uh, Brahma wanted assistance, yeah, so that creation, whatever he has created, is maintained well, and also new creation is done. But what happened is Brahma told there is no need to create such living entities who are devastating everything right now. Why? Because this is the time of creation and maintenance. We are not yet come to the dissolution part, so we do not want such creation. So he said, you perform austerity so that you could achieve auspiciousness, bestow happiness to all jivas, and recreate universe as before, and quickly know the Lord. And Rudra, after accepting, he entered the forest so that he can engage in tapasya. In the purport, I think it is Prabhupada refers that usually we see Lord Shiva is deeply absorbed in meditation, and absorbed in meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then what happened further? Brahma started creating from his body and mind. Huh? Narada from the deliberation, best part of the body. What is this deliberation? Yeah, is very nice word. It is nothing but after a very, very perfect thought of creation. It's not just like by accident or by out of anger, of passion. No, from a best part of his body, the thought came Narada Muni. Vashishta came from breathing, Daksha came from the thumb, Bhrigu from the touch, Krutu from the hand, Pulasya from ears, Angira from mouth, Atri from eyes, Marichi mind, Pulaha from navel of the Lord. Dharma, which is religion, it came from the right breast where Paramatma is situated. Irreligion, Adharma, came from the back where Jiva's death takes place. And factors which instigate adharma are, yeah, because adharma is generated, the how adharma can be affected is by lust and desire, hmm, anger, greed, power of speaking, ocean, and low and abominable activities instigate from the anus and the source of all sins. Or anyway, finally, I think I said also about Kardama Muni. He came from the shadow of Brahma. Yeah. I'll speak about 28. Yeah, something very important and interesting to understand that, and I intentionally kept it for tomorrow. Yeah, thank you very much for patiently hearing, and yeah, thank you. Yeah. Any thoughts, comments? Anyway, I didn't speak any class, so but any particular purport we want to go through, we can. Otherwise, we can close the chapter here.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Mhm.
Prabhuji, what you said about Narad Muni deliberation is what the mind or
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So from a serious, actually, oh, I missed. If you really give me 1 minute, there is one particular purport in which Narada was born. Did I miss something? No, let me go up. Yeah, verse number 23. No, 23. Utsangan Narado Jenge Daksho. Anyway, Utsaha Narado Jenge. Utsaha means what? Huh? Utsanga. Utsangat. Utsangat means by transcendental deliberation. So it was just like we also have transcendental um, uh, mood or connecting to the transcendence, right? Like bhakti through devotion, what are we doing? We are connecting from not from something beyond the material. So that is what Narad Muni came from. Narad Muni was born from the best deliberation of Brahma because Narada was able to deliver the Supreme Lord to anyone he liked. This purport is very nice and also needs careful attention when I am reading. So it is said the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be realized by any amount of Vedic knowledge or by any number of penances. Huh? The Lord cannot be realized, it's not possible. But a pure devotee of the Lord like Narada can deliver the Lord by his goodwill, which means a devotee can give the Lord. A devotee can give um, his through his mercy um, the opportunity to reach the Lord. So that is the reason the very name Narada suggests that he can deliver the Supreme Lord. Nara means the Supreme Lord, Narayana, we know, right? Nara. And Da means one who can deliver or one who gives. So that he can deliver the Supreme Lord does not mean that the Lord is like a commodity that can be delivered to any person. But Narada can deliver to anyone the transcendental loving service of the Lord as a servitor, friend, parent, or lover, as one may desire. So that's, in other words, it is Narada only who can deliver the path of Bhakti Yoga, the highest mystic means for attainment of the Lord. Anyway, thanks for bringing so I could cover this part.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So Prabhuji, Lord Brahma was thinking about devotional service to Lord, and then
Yeah,
Narada appeared.
yeah. He was
Like
thinking because all other things, creations were little messy, right? So he thought, let me, yeah, something best. After heavily deliberating means something really thinking seriously to it, for to the best of one's capability.
Mhm. Yes, Prabhuji. And
Mhm.
Prabhuji, in the last, so the when this Rudra was generated, Lord Brahma was
Mhm.
having anger, and you said that this anger is he is the Lord of mode of passion.
Mhm.
He is he is not under that mode of passion, right? But still, he yeah, in the purport you said that he was angry because
Yes.
uh,
I think next three verses will cover about that, or three or four verses will cover about Brahma, because also when he creates, there is the Vag Devi who comes, so that part will come, yeah, from the next verse. In that context, we can see then the influence of the modes. I think that's what you are asking, no? That we can see there.
okay, bro. Yeah,
Mm.
thank you, bro.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay, then thank you so much for joining. Let's catch up tomorrow. And Jakalpatarabhyas Chakrapa Sindhu पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। ताय गौर प्रेम। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।